At his bachelor celebration, the fiancé and his pals were joined by his female best friend. I canceled the wedding after learning that he had cheated as well, and it was all captured on camera. I'm at a loss on what to do. Since they were four, my F28, Finance, M28, and Alex have had a best friend named Danny 28. She is a kind, nice lady who has never been in trouble with Alex or their other two pals, Daniel and Marcus. The four are tight. Danny has always been homosexual. Despite being very much a woman, she prefers to wear jeans and t-shirts rather than anything feminine. She is tall, slim, and has short hair. In many respects, she is much like the males. Alex's bachelor celebration happened this past weekend. All four went along with Alex's other two companions. There was no strip club or anything, but it was to a seaside town that is famous for holding bachelor and bachelorette parties. They had kayaking and scuba diving planned, and they stayed at a BBB. Dinner, the nightclub, and home were all okay on the first night. The problem was last night. After visiting the nightclub, they returned home. Daniel and Marcus, who are both unmarried, got active in their beds after bringing back two females from the nightlife. While the others were drinking in the living room, the noise level increased, and the two buddies began to gripe about not being able to go a strip club and never seeing TTSNS. They were accusing and disparaging their spouses. They both felt it would be humorous to see Danny's nude body to make up for it, so Danny urged them to shut speaking as it was hurting the atmosphere. The problem is that they undressed her after Alex came in. Marcus and Daniel ran to Danny's aid as she screamed loudly, took her to the bedroom with the females, and got into a battle with the three guys. Because of his medicine and a long-term medical issue, Daniel abstains from alcohol. In order to leave the other three, they packed up and took Danny and the two females. Marcus asked her to call the police since Danny was acting hysterically, but she refused. They ended up leaving the girls off and driving Danny to her parents' house, which was an hour away since she was scared to return home. When Marcus arrived at my door at 7 a.m. this morning, he told me what had happened and that he was scared of what would happen if he ever saw Alex again. If he can get Danny to bring charges, he will, he informed me. Then he went away. Around 3 o'clock this afternoon, Alex came back. Before I informed him that Marcus had come to visit, he was acting normally. He attempted to downplay the incident as a joke that went too far since he was so anxious. I am heartbroken. I listened to him, but he was aware that I didn't agree with him. He became quite agitated and pale when I informed him Danny may be going to the police. He stated he wanted to go talk to her since she had blocked him. I informed him that she wasn't at her house because she was too worried that he or his friends might show up. He refused to go when I asked him to, but I persisted. He was sobbing and claiming that the prank had gone too far. I just listened to him out of consideration for our 2-year relationship, but I'm over it. This dude is unknown to me. I'm not sure if I should contact Danny or do nothing at all. I've been in regular communication with Marcus, and he acknowledges that I have no choice but to break things up. Since the wedding was in 5 weeks, I'm not sure where to begin with canceling things, but it seems insignificant in comparison to what Danny is going through at the moment. I believe Alex is in trouble since Marcus is certain Danny is going to the police after speaking with her parents. I am unable to back him up on this. He was intoxicated and likely had other drugs, so I might be mistaken, but this was his 4-year-old buddy, and he did this to her. Even though I haven't blocked Alex, I haven't returned his calls or answered any of his messages. September 9th, 2024, Update 1. It has been an awful day. I'm too embarrassed to contact my buddies just yet. My brother and mom have been amazing since I told them. Both of them packed up all of my ex's belongings and moved them to his parents' house today. My brother brought his buddy along when he arrived to visit. My brother responded in the affirmative when his ex asked whether I was done with him. Did he really anticipate a different response? His father stepped in and instructed his ex to stop talking. In order to cancel the wedding, he instructed my brother to inform me to get in touch with him. I will never get in touch with his father. My father contacted my cousin, a lawyer, who will assist and counsel me as needed while my parents handle the wedding cancellation. Even though my brother forced me to move all of my money from my joint account saves and daily accounts to my own account, I still need to untangle myself from Lisa's bank account savings and other things. It's a mess. I tried calling Donnie, but she doesn't want to talk to anyone, so I texted her to let her know that I was there for her and that Alex and I were no longer together. I don't think she will respond, and she hasn't. She seems to be in a foul mood. Today, Daniel and I spent 3 hours together. A lot is happening, but I'm hesitant to discuss too much for fear of jeopardizing any legal proceedings. Just so you know, the incident is captured on 2 videos. The last section of one by Jeb, one of the 2 pals, seems to be straightforward and revealing, but the majority of it is jumbled. I am unable to provide any information, however it appears that the rental house's owners have been involved and have film Marcus informed the spouses of each of those men what had transpired after he left me. Apparently incredibly helpful, Jeb's wife has broken up with him. The wife of the other man has also left him. All I can say is that things are proceeding as the majority of you would like them to. It was worse than what Marca described, though, I'll add. Daniel informed me that before Donnie discovered her own style, she was really gorgeous, had long hair, and wore feminine clothing. The three of them fell in love with her when they were teenagers. It seems that Alex took her rejection extremely personally, and Daniel claims that for a few years he was resentful and bitter but kept it a secret from her. Daniel believes he has moved over everything, but this feels like retaliation against her. If this is true, it's scary. Alex has sent me hundreds of SMS and still does. He informed me that while his father advised him to stop contacting me, he is unable to do so. Despite advice, I haven't responded or blocked. This is really difficult, and I'm not sure how it will all turn out. I apologize for any typos or errors. I'm not very good at this. If I can, I'll post again if there are any more. September 12, 2024, Update 2. Donnie gave me a call. Since Daniil has always been there, I assume it's because he anticipated her call. The story is far more complex. As I mentioned, the first night was typical, but on Saturday Alex, Jeb, and their companion chose not to join Daniil, Marcus, and Daniil for scuba diving. After an hour, Donnie quit trying since she was so drunk and returned to the Airbnb. All three of the males were having sex with two ladies when she entered the living room. This was costing them a fortune, so Jeb yelled at her to leave. They were escorts. The women. After leaving, she returned to the boat and informed Marcus simply what she had observed. Alex advised her not to inform me as it was his last remaining freedom when they all returned later. She informed him that he was not free and that she was dissatisfied with him. She informed him that she would need to consider her options. Since he and Daniel had met the two girls the previous before and would be meeting them again that evening, Marcus persuaded her to remain an additional night. Since he was her ride and the little village lacked public transport, Daniel would have to drive her if Danny wanted to go. Thus, like the other two, Alex cheated. Marcus didn't tell me that morning, but their spouses did. He knew I was in shock, so he planned to do it gradually. Marcus also told me that the real attack was more extensive. Furthermore, unlike the other two, Alex had done nothing more than take off her clothing. He only observed and did nothing to assist her. She claimed that although she couldn't be certain, she believed he had consumed mushrooms earlier. She was rescued by Marcus and Daniel. But the situation had already gotten out of hand. As soon as she reached her parents, she rushed to the police. When they watched the video, the Airbnb owners had also left on their own. The repercussions of their conduct are being felt by all three guys. Donnie apologized to me for not telling me right away as she had intended to. She is still in a lot of distress, and I didn't want to add to her suffering. I barred Alex and his parents since I don't believe I'm required for any legal processes. The wedding has been called off, and I'm only now beginning to separate myself from Alex in terms of bank accounts and other things. This is my problem. I'm furious at Marcus right now. He didn't seem to be all that interested in me. In order to maintain his relationship with the lady he met, he prevented Danny from informing me. He seems to feel bad since Danny wouldn't have been attacked if they had gone. Unlike with the previous two husbands, he did not inform me that Alex had cheated that morning. Me ex-abusing another woman was a fairly awful thing to hear, so it's not like he was trying to spare me emotions. The whole scope of the attack was not disclosed to me by him. Danny still doesn't know if Alex was simply waiting for his time, or if he was just going to observe. I ought to have heard that right away. And not from Danny, since she found the topic really challenging. Daniel was completely unaware of the escorts, and was unaware that Marcus had not yet given the complete account of what they seen when they broke in. Daniel has been my pillar of support. This is where I need some perspective. Is it okay to be upset with Marcus? Is this rage misdirected? However, my only emotion for Alex is a great deal of anger. Is there anyone who can provide me an alternative viewpoint on missing? It was messages/SMS and sporadic calls because he's already back at work. In fact, he came by last night, but I refused to let him in. Daniel says it doesn't matter how I feel at the moment. However, I believe he is only appeasing me. I'm not sure who I can trust anymore. I believe the lawsuit will go without me, and don't need to communicate with Alex any longer. I'm considering letting Daniel know that I need some time away from Marcus, Daniel, and that bunch of buddies. Although Danny and I have agreed to keep in touch, I don't think we will become close. My best buddy, to whom I eventually confessed, believes that I should attempt to go on and just permanently distance myself from them all. My parents concur and believe it's essential for recovery. Daniel has been excellent, according to my brother, and I shouldn't interrupt him. However, they all appear to be a package deal, albeit clearly sans Alex at this time. It's probably all or nothing, in my opinion. How should I proceed? I don't want to come out as unappreciative, but it feels good to start over. Update 3 September 23, 2024. New update. I've been putting this update off, but I'm returning because I need additional guidance and a different viewpoint. So far, the comments have been rather beneficial. Thank you. It's lengthy, but I'll try to make it shorter. To begin with, Danny and I have become close. We communicate daily and send each other messages all the time. That surprised me. But it's very amazing. She claims to be in need of a nice straight friend at the moment. But in all honesty, she is a wonderful person who has supported me greatly in spite of her struggles. I told her that I felt bad about posting here since I had to share my experience in order to share hers. She didn't mind. She wants everyone to know that she was raped and by whom, thus she is considering giving up her right to anonymity when the trial starts. Donnie is in treatment and has resigned her work to live with her parents full-time. She's doing about all right. She is really powerful and wonderful, yet she is more about surviving than living. There isn't much of an update on the judicial procedure because justice is handled slowly here. Marcus was informed, meanwhile, that he would not be charged with assault for hitting the two people who were actively pursuing Donnie. It was terrible when I returned to work. I am employed by a small startup. We all go to the same dojo and are interested in martial arts. I'm receiving a lot of sympathy. It's terrible to be pitied, but I would have been okay with empathy or sympathy. Even so, it's preferable than spending the entire day at home doing nothing. Daniel is a really nice person, and he gave me space when I requested. However, there is absolutely nothing romantic about it. He is simply a nice man, and I'm not in the right frame of mind for something like that, and won't be for a very long time. No hidden agenda. He keeps in close contact with Danny, and we exchange occasional texts. Alex sent me a note in the mail. Said he was upset after I blocked him, but he had clung to hope whereas I hadn't. He only wanted to share his perspective, but he told me he didn't want to frighten me by showing up in person, which I know wouldn't look good for him otherwise. He said that he only received a BJ because he was coerced into performing things with the escorts. He claims he regrets ever doing that, even though the other two were really urging him to do more. He acknowledges that he was upset with Danny because she had warned him that he would either tell me about the infidelity or she would, even though he knew he was completely at fault. He stole everything he could find since he knew I would dump him for cheating. Although he recalls taking off Danny's shoes, he has no further memory and is unsure of what he stole. He was essentially peer-pushed, intoxicated, and under the influence of drugs, yet he did nothing wrong. Reading this simply made me feel disgusting. It is disgusting how unaccountable he is. I will never reply to him. Unopened. Future mail is thrown in the garbage. I'm in treatment, but it's very early, and I haven't noticed any changes yet. That leaves Marcus and myself. He is anxious to talk things out since he knows I've been upset with him. I probably feel overly angry at him, but I can't help it. He still feels terrible for forcing Danny to remain. I have no idea why I am so upset with him. I'm still reluctant to speak with Alex, but it's by no means on the same level of rage I have towards him. In my heart, I realize he was going through a lot that morning. But I still believe he made mistakes. If I had known the truth, I simply wouldn't have been there when Alex arrived home. Since I was the one who had to confront Alex by myself, I believe Marca ought have told me everything. It's so difficult for me to listen to him, even though I know I should. How am I going to overcome this? Even though we will never be friends, I want to make up with him because he is suffering greatly as a result of my withdrawal. I am aware that he saved Donnie and has been following up with her ever since. A part of me thinks he wasn't feeling well that weekend, even though I know he can be a decent man. I'm not sure. Since our therapy is just getting started and we are discussing Alex, I haven't brought up this topic. I need some guidance on how to handle this. I wanted to give it some time, but Marcus has a really bad mental health, so if I'm making him worse by not seeing him, is there any way I can get the courage to listen to him? Why am I upset with him so much? How am I going to get over this? I'd rather not be upset with him. I want it to stop because I'm so tired of being mad with him and Alex, in Marcus's direction anyhow. However, it won't help. On the weekend that should have been my wedding, I'm going to Donnie. In preparation for our Lotar marathon, her mother is preparing a cheesecake. Donnie is the real reason I'm staying here, even though my own family has been amazing in every aspect. I should have mentioned that it wasn't an Airbnb. It was only a residence that was privately rented. I simply assumed it was. Wrong. Next narrative. My girlfriend abruptly changed after I proposed to her. She tried to steal my belongings, made new pals, and her attitude totally changed. You won't believe what transpired after I ended it. About a month and a half ago, I am 32. Proposed to my girlfriend of 2 years, Sharon F. 30, and it seems like her attitude and behavior completely changed the moment the ring was placed on her finger. We appeared to be quite compatible during our whole relationship, or at least to have similar ideals and ideas. When she accepted my proposal 7 weeks ago, I thought it was the happiest moment of our lives together. However, it seems like her attitude completely changed less than a week later. I believed I knew every one of her pals. However, Sharon introduced me to 6 women I had never seen before when I returned home one day. I wanted to know why I had only recently met them. Michelle and Octavia, Sharon's 2 closest pals, were not there when I first met them. Before I met her inner circle more than a year and a half ago, Sharon told me she wanted to make sure we were a definite thing. In addition to the fact that it was a weekday and they were rapidly depleting my wine rack, I thought this was odd. Although Sharon still had a residence of her own, she spent so much time with me that she nearly lived with me. Even still, I thought their departure was rather impolite. Following them were 4 empty bottles of rose. Sharon brushed off my complaint about having unwelcome guests on weeknights with a very casual demeanor. She dismissed me further. She took the girls out on many occasions in the next weeks, and when she brought them to my house twice without warning, and once with warning to please me, she claimed that the girls treated me like a butler and shook their empty wine glasses at me to get refills. I made it plain that I would receive a locked wine rack after the 4th time. After that, Sharon simply labeled me no fun. Things worsened. Sharon thought that the girls and I had gotten off to a bad start and suggested that we go to a nice restaurant for dinner. I went, though, and it wasn't very good. The 6 avoided answering any of my questions while persistently probing me about my life, home, and job. It became particularly problematic at night when they began discussing contemporary relationships and jealousy. One of them raised several important relationship-related issues that I believed Sharon and I agreed on, particularly the what-ifs around polyamory and friendship with ex-partners. Sharon shocked me by saying that we shouldn't make snap judgments like that. It was very different from how she had expressed herself on similar issues just a month earlier, when she was adamantly monogamous and opposed maintaining former intimate partners in social groups. The worst thing was that Sharon slid me the check and said the bill should be together when it arrived. We had a brief dispute when I informed her she couldn't be serious. I paid the remaining balance in cash and left, allowing them to handle the remaining money. Sharon continued to label me poisonous and delicate in the days that followed, but each time I pressed her, she would apologize and say that she was simply under stress at work. We haven't even organized the wedding yet, which is crazy. The worst thing was when I received a Nest doorbell warning on Monday while I was at work. I checked and witnessed Sharon and one of her 6 new pals arrive at my house, enter, and take my golf clubs. I was upset with Sharon for giving me this set without my consent, because it was a present from my father and it was also somewhat expensive. I contacted Sharon right away and instructed her to return the clubs with her companion. Remember how you said you would give the clubs to her boyfriend? Sharon tried to deceive me. I informed her that the expense of the club would turn it into a major offense, and the police would be notified if she and her buddy didn't return them within an hour. I urged Sharon to shut up when she insisted she had my consent. Not 45 minutes later, I received another message that Sharon and her friend had returned with the clubs and were leaving them inside. On their way out, Sharon's companion had turned off the Nest doorbell. When I arrived home, I noticed that Sharon's companion had actually thrown the clubs and returned to the floor of the living room. I ordered Sharon to shut up when she tried to bring up my toxicity once again. I replied I wouldn't have proposed if I had known this was her personality. She appeared frightened by that, and once more claimed to be under stress from her job, but I wasn't believing it anymore. I assured her that we will discuss our relationship this weekend once she returned the ring and the key. She sobbed and pleaded with me not to call off the engagement, claiming it was only stress. We will discuss it this weekend, I reminded her. At last, she gave in. In any case, once she went, I had my house rekeyed for safety. Sharon has been sending me love texts all the time, apologizing for getting caught up, and claiming that she was only showing me off to her close friends. I'm not sure. Simply said, I don't believe it. The same close friends have been texting me every day, accusing me of being poisonous and weak once more. They claim to have known that I wasn't comfortable enough to share Sharon with friends or man enough for her. Some of my friends who knew Sharon throughout the 2 years we dated were shocked and couldn't believe she had gone so quickly into hiding. They thought something must be missing or that I was overlooking something. They claimed that I had to have been the somewhere in the process and that I must have said something to have her pals respond in this way. Right now, there's a lot to take in from all angles. Commenter, where Alpi has responded. He probably hasn't seen Michelle and Octavia in a while. The ex is now too stressed out from work to see both of her pals, even though they served their function. Yes, yesterday night I did send Michelle a message on Facebook. She informed me that she, Octavia, and Sharon are cousins and grew up together when I questioned her about the 6. Michelle didn't say much more than that she didn't particularly like the 6. Your pals are triggered and stupid, don't you think? Commenter. No one normally shows up at someone's house without invitation and consumes a large amount of the host's wine without authorization. Oh, they knew Sharon for 2 years. Furthermore, Sharon didn't behave in this manner at all throughout that period. For now, I'll allow them some wiggle room. In a manner, she didn't introduce you to these buddies at 34 and 2 years old. She is aware of how awful she is around them and how awful they are. To receive the ring, she put on a performance. And now that she believes she has you under control, she is free to be herself. You are unquestionably NTA. Unless you are omitting something. You are not weak or poisonous. You have expectations. Her actions with the clubs and at the restaurant are poisonous. She appears to want to demonstrate to them that she has you completely enamored, and that you will let her and them do everything they want. I wouldn't give her another chance to take advantage of you or give you anything. Whether you have friends or not, no one who truly loves you would treat you this way. Updated on 14th September 2024. It's been an hour since Sharon left. I got the ring back, and the breakup is official. I spoke with Michelle on Facebook, and she told me that she and Octavia were Sharon's cousins. She also mentioned that she knew the six and didn't like them. The subject of Michelle and Octavia was never brought up around Sharon's parents, whom I did meet, and they both appeared to like me. Although it was scheduled for later this month, which will not occur, none of our funds had yet been combined. When Sharon arrived, I asked Casey, John, and Mike, 3 of our common friends, to join us. When Sharon arrived, she was taken aback to see I had company. They were here for our mutual benefit, I added. I declined Sharon's request to call 3 of the 6 to come over and settle the dispute, using the club theft as justification. Sharon asked me if I truly wanted to make this public after she sat on the couch in a dramatic manner. I directly questioned why she concealed the existence of the 6, and why she underwent such drastic changes following the engagement. Sharon continued by explaining how she keeps her inner group safe until a partner has been thoroughly screened. What's more inner circle than your parents? I met her parents after calling BS. I refused to let Sharon try to deflect. I brought up how her friend's visits over the past month had cost me about $500 in wine, which she hasn't tried to pay back. I also pointed out that she was attempting to charge me for a supper for 8 people without first asking. She said that she wanted to demonstrate my greatness as a man, and that she was disappointed in my attitude, and that she had misunderstood me. Next, I inquired about the clubs. Remember how she attempted gaslighting you and insisted it was fine? And I continued to spew nonsense. Mike spoke out. He was aware that I was fiercely possessive of the clubs, which were a gift from my father. Isn't he getting forgetful lately? Sharon said, turning to Mike and John when he too called bullshit. Do you not recall the moment he forgot that particular date? And neither was convinced. At last I remarked, forget about delaying the wedding or calling off the engagement if she isn't going to be upfront. With me? Our relationship will be over. Sharon let out a loud, sighing exclamation. She removed the ring and let it fall on the coffee table. You're never going to find someone as good as me, she added as she stood up to depart, and she sent her belongings to her flat. Casey, John, and Mike were all taken aback when she departed. Believe me now was all I could say. We are currently awaiting the delivery of the pizza that we ordered. Sharon's attitude has left me completely stunned and perplexed. The heartache will undoubtedly follow. But for now, I'm simply feeling a little numb.